Right, welcome to another SlamDunk podcast. I've got two of the admins with me today. I've got City Dave and City Other Dan, not the one,
yes.
not the one that looks like Angelino. So we're going to do a similar setup to last week, where we're going to do three players that are in the news at the moment that City are planning to sign, which can be loads of players. We're going to do three players that City could have signed, but didn't. So I think we're going to go quite far back onto that as well. And then I don't think you knew about this, Dave, but we're going to do one player each that we think personally that City should sign that would benefit the side at any position. I think mine last week was the Fridge from Inter Milan, who I call the Fridge. Good player. So I think that's what we're gonna go along the lines to. Is everyone happy with that?
Absolutely.
Ecstatic.
So I think most of the players it looks like that we're going to be doing today is mainly centre halves. I think that's what City seem to be going for. And the first one we're going to be doing is Ben White from Brighton. Now, obviously on loan at Leeds at the moment under Marcel Bielsa. Obviously similar playing to Pep. Mm-hmm. Another Brighton centre half, eh? Let's go with you, Dan, first. What's your thoughts on Ben White?
English, young, like you say, he's been in a high tempo team with a lot of demand on playing style, creativity, being able to play with the ball. I've not seen a great deal of him, so I'm not going to say, oh yeah. But from what I've heard and that, I think this could be a good, decent little signing. I've said to you many a time, we need to try and get English players to keep the foreign player quota in check. So I don't think that would be a bad signing for us. I really don't.
No,
totally agree, Dave.
Yeah, I absolutely echo what Dan's just said, really, that he's 22, already played over 100 games, in the league for a couple of different clubs, Leeds, Peterborough, I think Newport County or something as well. So he's got that experience there already at a young age. I've seen few reports as well that he's kind of got quite a similar style to a John Stones or a Rio Ferdinand that's quite comfortable on the ball. He's played 40 games for Leeds this season, so basically he played every game for them. So Pep, Bielsa, obviously are very, very good friends, know each other. So if I were Pep, I would be having that chat with Bielsa, and if he's got some opportunity there, then I would be going to Brighton and putting in a bid. 22 is a perfect age for Pep to work with. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's a really good shout, that, Steve. Really good shout.
So I think I'm on total. So I've got his stats up. So in the Championship, 37 appearances. He's played 3,330 minutes. 2 assists, has got over an 85% pass completion.
That's what we're after.
1 man a match, but over a 7 rating. That's what most of these sort of stat sites do. So it's pretty decent. It's not, and also in that time, he's actually played a few holding midfield roles for him when Calvin Phillips has been injured. I watch a lot of the Championship. I do like to, especially Leeds, they play similar football to us. Very good to watch. Obviously, Jack Harrison's there, so it's quite nice to keep an eye on him as well. Looking at the stats, like you say, passing one, that's right up Pep Street, isn't it? We can't really sort of argue. So I think we're all in sort of agreement on that. Has anyone else got anything to add on Ben White?
To your point, Steve, about the versatility as well, and we all know Pep likes a versatile player. He doesn't want to buy that just for a specific position. He wants to make sure that, to your point, like centre half or defensive mid, play along that back line. So it sounds very much like a Pep sort of player to me.
I was just going to add that we've seen a lot of players, young players of ours, being linked with moves on loan to Leeds if they get promoted and that. So I don't know if Leeds have got something where they could buy White. Maybe that's us cushioning it so they don't activate that clause. Maybe. So there might be some truth in that. I don't know.
Well, I think Pep looks at, like Dave said, looks at Bielsa as like a father figure. Him and Poch, I think they all both said that, he's probably that's where they learn everything from, and you can see it. I know that Leeds have got a clause for Harrison, and it's 8 million. So it's just a steal. Obviously, we didn't realise how good that he was going to be in the Championship by looks of it, and he looks pretty decent from what I've seen, and 8 million's a steal. So, I think Leeds are usually pretty smart on that with the buy-in clauses and things, because they've done the same on Douglas Costa as well, I think, from Wolves. So they're pretty good at that. But hopefully, like you say, maybe we can sort of step in on Ben White. But yeah, I'm happy with that. Are we happy to move on?
Yeah.
The next one. So the next one is more of a veteran centre half, shall we say? So Bonucci from Juventus, I think, has been linked now for at least the last 2 transfer windows or last 2 summers as well.
I would say 11 years.
But yeah, well, obviously Pep loves him, so obviously it's come to light a little bit more. But obviously we're going from one of the age spectrum to the other. So what's your thoughts on that? Whoever wants to go first.
I'll let Dave go first this time.
He's just a wonderful player, isn't he? And, we've seen this at City over time as well, where we've brought in veteran players, so to speak. The Frank Lampards, the Patrick Vieiras. I think Bonucci would be an incredible signing for City, even if it was just for, the Stones, the Garcias, etc., just to watch. And here's what you need to aspire to. And imagine how well he played with Laporte as well. You've got Laporte, a little bit younger, understands the game well, can bring that ball out of defence, and then you've got that rock of Bonucci in there. I would do everything to have Bonucci at Manchester City for a couple of seasons. I think he would be a phenomenal buy for us. I really do.
Yeah, I've got to agree with Dave there, 100%. Just going back, if you said now we bought, I don't know what sort of transfer fees we're talking here, but say we got Ben White and Bonucci, send Ben White and that Jan Cayato, whatever he's called, that Brazilian, to Leeds. What a place to watch him learn. Came in Prem, play number Leicester. Bonucci's at us for what, maybe if we have him for 2-3 seasons. That sounds an ideal scenario in my eyes, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So I think Bonucci's 33.
Well, maybe not 3 years then.
So maybe two. Just
maybe even a season.
Yeah, that would probably do though. I think that would probably do. If Ben White had 2 seasons under Bielsa.
Funnily enough, it's actually his birthday today.
Bonucci's?
Yes, Bonucci's birthday today.
Okay, so the season is 25 appearances in the Serie A. 2,224 minutes, 3 goals, 87% passing. Won a little bit less aerial duels than Ben White, and then a 6.84 rating is what's been given on here. But then if you look at the Champions League, he's 6 appearances, 540 minutes, 89% pass rating. So yeah, again, it's pet player all day long, isn't it?
Yeah.
World class. Yeah.
I mean, if we play 3 centre backs, Bonucci, Stones, and Laporte, pretty good like all 3 of them on pitch at once, all good ball players, all, you know what I mean? I think it'd be decent.
Yeah, I think if you're going to play 3, I mean, you could technically, if you're going to have like Laporte and Bonucci, would you stick Garcia in the middle of them 2?
Well, yeah.
So that would do for him.
Yeah.
I think to learn off any better, could you? You've got one side, you've probably got one of the best ball playing centre halves in Laporte, and then on the other side, you've got someone that you wouldn't want to mess with.
Rock.
Add that together into Garcia's game. I mean, I know his distribution, everything's great anyway, but just add that little bit of, anger to him. Good work.
Yeah, I agree.
Like he is, isn't it?
More. I would love Bonucci at City.
Okay, so it's another 3 agreements. So the other one, another centre half, I think, and has been linked for a while. Serie A again, and it looks like it's Skriniar from Inter Milan.
Yeah.
So you're probably looking at one of the best centre halves in world football at the moment. Come up the scene. I think he's about 20, 24 years old. So we're going back down the end of that spectrum again, but guy with more experience, international experience. So what's your thoughts, Dan, on Skriniar?
Yeah, good centre back. But it's not really like Bonucci. Like, I know Bonucci's been in Serie A all his life, but he's a proven, been there, done it defender, innit? Now, I would worry buying a centre back from Serie A to come to England and be able to deal the hustle and bustle. I mean, like you just said then, Ben White's done more aerial clearances than Bonucci. I mean, it's a different game over here, and will he be able to adapt to it? That'd be my only concern. Like when we signed Mangala, everybody was like, right, he's one of the best defenders in the world, and he just never gelled in England, did he? He was touted as being a decent defender, and he just never got into it. So I'd be worried the similar thing had happened with him. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but that'd be my concern.
Yeah. My concern with Skriniar as well is the transfer fee.
Oh, on that, yeah.
You think, would he be in our kind of ballpark? Is us 3 and the other MIBs discuss all the time. We kind of know that City's benchmark is no more than about 70 million. We know that. And I keep hearing reports of because he's only 25, Skriniar, that they want, 80, 90, million for it. And, to Dan's point, if we're going to spend that kind of money on someone who may or may not make it in English football, that's a lot of money to spend on someone like that. Very good player. I like his age. He's got room to grow, but I think we're going to be priced out of that one, to be perfectly honest, because I hear United in particular seem to be sniffing around him a lot as well. So that could be one of those ones where better the devil, and let's gazump. Let's raise the price so United have to pay more for him, and he goes to United and he's just not that good.
I think, like you say, Dave, you are right. It's just, I think it's too much. I mean, if you were signing him for, say, 80 million in the transfer window coming up, all eyes are on him. He's got no time to gel. Like, we signed Laporte in the January transfer window, and he was pretty poor that end of the season for us. I mean, I didn't think you could tell he had something about him, but he wasn't the player he is now. Mm-hmm. So I don't think you get that if signing a player from Serie A centre back. Unless they hit the ground running, it's going to be a long old tog for him this season. in the first year. I that's the only one I go no for me.
Yeah.
I think I agree. Just to throw some stats in there. Tom's going to love these stats, don't they? 24 appearances, 2,087 minutes, 92% passing.
Good passing now.
1.2 aerials won. So Ben White with 2.2, like you say, is it a different ball game? Really, as a centre half. I've got the fridge is stats right beside him, who 28 years old. So you're looking at someone that has the same aerial one as Ben White. 2005 minutes, 22 appearances, 3 assists, 2 goals, and a 91% passing. So if you weigh up that, and you're probably going to get Stefan for maybe 20, 30 at least £1 million less. Is it someone that maybe we can, City should be looking to, because he is a class player. Like I said on the pod last week, he plays for the Netherlands beside De Ligt, which is, wow, that's a class centre-half pairing if I've ever seen one. But yeah, I know it wasn't really meant to. We weren't really talking about him. But what do you boys reckon about him? Like, is it someone that you reckon City would look at?
What about him from Lazio? Inter Milan, aren't we? And you're at Lazio and Feyenoord.
Yeah.
Well, when you asked me to do my list of 3 players City missed out on, he's one of my choices. We was in for him when he went to Lazio, and we chose Mangala instead of him. And I might be wrong for the fees, but I'm pretty sure it was 30 million for Mangala, and I'm pretty sure he went. Is it David? I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah, Bridge.
He went to Lazio, and I'm pretty sure I'm right, for 14 million.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that?
I think you're right.
You'll think, like, he's blossomed into this, like, he's gone up a gear, as in Mangala's gone down. I mean, not saying Valencia's a bad move, but we're now talking about signing David at 28. I'm thinking it'd be a good signing. So can you imagine when we signed him if he'd have gone from Feyenoord?
That's the thing. That's the thing. I mean, obviously, the only plus thing now is he's obviously got the experience. But is it worth a punt?
I'd probably say yeah, because if it were cheaper, but Bonucci would get shirt sales for one. Bonucci would bring his own little thing, and like I said with Ben White, it's an English player, and I do think that you look round and there's not brilliant English players in every position, and if Ben White's an up-and-coming centre-back, I think he'd be ideal for us.
Agreed. Yeah.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Okay, so we have kind of gone on to the next thing of where we was going on about the 3 players that we missed out on. Obviously, so Stefan, we've just spoken about. I don't know did you want anything to add on to that, Dave, about when we missed him?
No, I'm interested to find out more of Dan's, actually. Who else do you have down there?
My next one is Italian legend. Should have signed him under Mancini. And I think you're in paper recently saying it was like the deal was done. He just had to sign the dotted line, but he backed out of it. And that is Daniel De Rossi. What a player he would have been for us.
Yeah. Very good player.
Very good. Everything. And if you think of that Mancini team, now everybody loves Nigel de Jong. He had his own song, fan favourite. But at the time, everybody's saying de Jong good at breaking up attacks, but he's not a ball player. And that's what he were missing. And now if we got De Rossi pinging balls around that midfield, wow.
Yeah, it would have been a couple, wouldn't it, there?
Oh, yes. That
117 times he played for Italy. 117. That's just how good he was. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
And then, he's at Boca Juniors now, isn't he? And I think he's still scoring, still playing well there. So, it's just a shit that I remember when he got linked to him and just being like, "This is going to be amazing." I remember being at the time convinced he would come in. I'm even going to get De Rossi on my shirt.
Yeah.
I could. Yeah, I do remember that would have been him and De Jong in midfield would have been a perfect couple, wouldn't they? You know, like you said, De Jong probably one of the best breakup of attacks.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen in a while. And then obviously, like you said, you got De Rossi on the side of him, just controlling the play. Would have been perfect. But
and it was written into stars, Mancini, Italian. I honestly did think at the time that is happening.
Yeah. So anything to add on that, Dave?
Well, do you want others who we missed out on?
So we had another one, I think, and it's a bit of a but Berbatov.
Oh well. Not a bad player, Berbatov. I think he always had this tag on, didn't he, that he was a little bit lazy. And, he just wanted a bit of a Gary Lineker, that he just wanted that ball in the 6-yard box and he'd knock it in from there. So I wasn't, we heard all this, that Ferguson went and picked him up from the airport, so City couldn't get their hands on him or whatever. But, yeah, wasn't the greatest player for me, Berbatov. I don't think that's...
Well, I'll have to disagree with you there, Dave, on that one. I thought Berbatov was an amazing player. And I remember when City played, when he played for Spurs, it was either League Cup or FA Cup replay at our place midweek, and he absolutely tore us to pieces. Just doing them one-touch passes or dummying it, or honestly, he was fantastic to watch. And that time when Man United signed him, if we'd have got him, that would have boosted that team up so much at that time. And plus, you got to think, he went on to win Golden Boot for United, so he would have hindered them not getting him. So it was like a 2-for-1 that, because it hindered United and done us better.
Is that when?
I think it's the same transfer window.
Yeah. Is that who it was?
No, we were going to sign them both.
Okay.
And that's when Fergie picked him up from airport. He'd flown from Spurs to sign for us on big money, but Man U went in for him at the same time. So if you imagine that team, instead of Joe up front, we had Berbatov. Wow. I honestly think I was gutted when we missed out on him. And we still had Martin Petrov on that there then. Martin Petrov, Berbatov, best mates. I think we could have had a really good little setup there.
Well, yeah, Dan Fielden would have liked that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, that one's for you, Fielding.
Yeah, I mean, not denying a very, very good player. But yeah, he was, I don't know.
He scored goals though, Dave. If you look at him, he scored a boatload for Spurs. I haven't got my computer. If you got his stats up, scored a boatload for Spurs, loads for United. He went to. Did he go to Fulham after that and was scoring for Fulham for fun? Then he went to Monaco, was scoring for fun.
Let's see.
Yeah,
I
know
for the fact he got him and Tevez got joint Golden Boot.
I'm just having a look now just to see what.
Tottenham was 27 goals in 70 appearances. United was 48 in 108. Fulham was not
as good as I thought.
So yeah, he's basically scoring one in 3. Basically, he's getting it. But it's his best time, because he was obviously surrounded by better players, was at United. So he was scoring 1 in 2 there. 48 and 108. Yeah, basically he's scoring every other game.
I think if you remember that season when he won Golden Boot as well. I'm not going too mad over him, because this is Man U time. But he didn't play for half the season. And I remember Tevez, it was last game of the season, and him and Tevez were joined, and Alex Ferguson paid Berbatov for first start in 6 or something like that. So
yeah, I read an article about Berbatov yesterday, and he was talking about being left out of the Champions League squad by Ferguson against Barcelona when they got beaten 3-1. And he said that he really never got over that because he played, to your point, Dan, he'd actually not been playing in the league, but been playing in Champions League games. He was actually United's top scorer that season. And Berbatov was pretty pissed off because he put Rooney, Michael Owen, and who was the other one? Like one of the striker ahead of Berbatov for that final game, which is kind of surprising because I know Owen has that history with us in that 4-3, but Michael Owen was a shite player for United, really, by the end of it.
Yeah, so, and I hated him for that game.
Yeah, same here. I absolutely despise him. Okay, so I think we've done the 3. Did you want to add one, Dave?
2 more. We don't need to discuss them now, but just ones that always annoyed me a little bit. One very, very recently, and that is obviously Matthias de Ligt, who ended up joining Juventus. And I know we were highly, highly publicised of being after him, and I know he chose Juventus over us, and he's had a real struggle at Juventus since he joined there. And I'd like to think at the back of his mind that maybe he's kicking himself a little bit, and he really had an opportunity to come to City there and be one of our star performers. So there's him, and the other one that I would mention is Aubameyang. I switched on sports like 3 years ago or whenever, and there was a big headline in yellow that said that Aubameyang was leaving Dortmund and coming to City. You know,
I think that was just a completely
done deal.
Do you know what, right? I'll go even further back than that. I'm sure Sven tried to sign him from Saint Etienne. I'm sure Sven tried to sign him. I remember that's when I first found out about him. So there you go, we got double bubble for him.
Double bubble, yeah. I mean, that literally was that breaking news, and then it come up, and you think, well, once it turns yellow, you're pretty like, he's coming, you know?
Yeah, I thought it was a done deal for 60-70 million. I thought it was sorted.
Aguero and Aubameyang up top. I was like, wow,
scary.
Something.
Now that would be a great option for us right now. Of Aubameyang, I think he's a wonderful player.
Yeah, would you still sign him now, Dave?
I would probably still sign him now, yeah. And he's looking to leave Arsenal as well. I mean, he doesn't want to be there, so let's annoy Wenger a little bit more and sign Aubameyang.
Chelsea, I think, are after him, aren't they?
So,
yeah, I think obviously, but I think if we sign Aubameyang, I think Mr. Fielding would have a heart attack because he'd go in front of Jesus, wouldn't he?
But would it? You think, though, that 3 top strikers there, that is a decent option. That is not a headache for Pep, that is it, having them 3.
I think you would put Aubameyang in as he is a known finisher. Like I think we were saying on the podcast last week, like my views changed of Jesus after that Real Madrid game where he worked his backside off. Like, and I like that. That changed my opinion, but he's still, every City fan, they have to admit it. You are comparing him to Aguero, and he's no way near. My thing with Kane is, like I've said before, and I've got a lot of hate, but he is a finisher like Aguero. Aubameyang is a finisher. Jesus works hard, where I don't think he's a striker. I don't think he's the replacement that we need for Aguero. I think we need to buy someone in. You know, Jesus is not a Lewandowski. He's not a Ronaldo. He's not a Kane. He's not an Aubameyang. He's, he will be in that City team, and it's someone that Pep would like because he works hard. But he just hasn't. There's a couple of games where you turn around. I've turned around to all my mates and gone, if that's Aguero in that position, it's a goal.
Mm-hmm. And he's Firmino, but don't look like a lesbian.
Yeah. I would say Firmino was with Nazareth, didn't he? But no, I think that's the difference, isn't it? And I think that's where I would I would rather have Kane. I think a lot of people will disagree with me, apart from Dave, I think, on that
No,
one.
I back
But
you as well. I like
I don't.
Kane.
I'd take Kane.
I think he can adapt. The others don't think he can adapt, but I really do think that Kane can adapt. I think he adapts to Southgate's way of playing, and that's very similar to Pep's. It's the ball along the floor, and if you want someone to replace Aguero, you have to look at goal scoring charts, and Kane is always up there. He's had injury-ridden seasons, and he's still getting 20 plus a season.
Agreed.
It's just the fitness side I'd be worried about. And I don't just mean his injuries. Like in the World Cup, he was absolutely fucked, wasn't he? He just looked so unfit. But like you say, and I remember not that long ago when Kane were like pinging balls all over the pitch and that. I've always thought him as a decent passer at ball and
he's got a good
playmaker.
So I think we have been linked with him with United. I think it is, isn't it? And I truly believe that if we got, his fitness will get better under Pep. There's no doubt about that. You know, at the moment he's under Mourinho, where they probably ain't doing much apart from defending. Looking at the local bus times, trying to work out. I think he'd be good, but that's just me, and I'm saying it because Fielden ain't on there either. So.
No, I agree.
On,
I just think I agree with Dan that if we'd have had a fit, top of his game Harry Kane in that World Cup semi-final, we would have at least got to the final. I'm not saying we would have beaten France, but my God, we were so close. And if we'd had more players at the top of their game that game, we would have at the very least made it to that final.
Yeah, Kane needed dragging off on that game, and I know he's an outlet, but he was absolutely bollocks.
Bobbins that game, yeah.
But just while we're on that quick, this season is the first season since 2014. I think it's 2014 that City haven't signed a player from the Premier League, and not been his best season for a few years, lads. Would you say?
I think wow. You can't, you can't pull away from that, can you? And I think like I said, I said all along, Liverpool can have this season, whether it goes ahead or whatever, but it will not be the same next season. We will not be this far behind next season, and we don't need that many signings. But Pep, I can guarantee it, Pep will never let this happen again.
No,
and he's made mistakes.
Signings, yeah.
We
need two of the right signings. Whatever that cost is, we need two. We need a striker and we need a centre half. And if we sell Zane, we need to replace Zane. Or as I said on our little MIB chat before, is if we get this 65, 70 million in for Zane, do we replace him? Or if we don't do that, are we going to give like a Braff? I know he's young, but he comes with so much potential. Are we going to throw Braff in there?
I would. I'm not a massive youth team promoter, as you know. But Braff, I'd definitely throw him into the mix. And I'm fed up of going on about him, but Felix Nemecha, I think both of them players are ready for our first team.
Agreed.
So.
I also think on that, and I think I said it last week, was I think you can push De Bruyne up to the front three. Like I said, that the Arsenal game, he was phenomenal.
Yeah.
On the right hand side, absolutely unplayable. Absolutely unplayable. He looked like the best player in the world in that game. Those couple of finishes he done, and then Leno pulled off probably save of the season as well for his hat trick. We've got options, which obviously, like you said, Pep likes his players to not have that one position. So, maybe save the money, maybe get the money for Sane and use it for a centre half, or put it towards Kane or whoever.
Yeah.
I'm interested to know, Dave, what are the 2 positions you want us to sign?
That is a good question. I think that we do need a centre half.
Yeah.
Even though, I bang the drum about Garcia all the time. That's why I'm so excited about maybe getting someone like Bonucci in, who Garcia can still play games whenever the season starts up again, but be able to learn from someone like that would be absolutely incredible. So definitely centre half, and I've said for many years now, I still think we need a striker because we're so. I mean, it's worked, so I'm not complaining, but we're so one-dimensional in the way that we approach games and pass. We're always looking when that isn't working. Like, I go back to the Wolves game all the time, or any game where we've lost really, but Wolves is a prime example of that. We needed a different way of playing, and a different way of playing is going to be if we get another striker like an Aubameyang who doesn't need it on the floor, or a Kane who doesn't need it on the floor all the time, that we can actually get it in the box and on the head and see what happens. So, yeah, if I was in charge at City now, those are the 2 positions that I'd really want to fill. I'd want another striker to push Aguero, or to at least change games up with the final 20, 30 minutes. And we need a centre half, because I'm still not convinced by John Stones. And if a decent bid came in for him, I think I'd be very tempted to take it.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've said in other podcasts that sometimes our dimension needs changing. Especially it can go down to the likes of Burnley. When we go to Burnley, you know exactly what they're going to do, and any hype balls that we put in, Tarkovsky's there pretty much every single time. Ben Mee, whoever, they're there, just tall, lanky, get out all the time, and because they're so compact defensively, sometimes our passing doesn't work. Maybe sometimes we need that lifted ball up to someone to bring the players in to give it. The problem is, the centre half sometimes need 2 people to worry about instead of 1. So with a player, he's going to want it to the floor. If you can bring someone else on, they're like, well, hang on a minute, right? We've got 2 things to worry about now. I think Dzeko, for me, was the worst decision to get rid of, still to this day. He would still be playing for City as far as I'm concerned. I mean,
he definitely had 2 seasons left in him, didn't he?
100%. And I still think Negredo underrated.
I just think he had something off the field. I think he fell out with Pellegrini, and I think, there's rumours he was with somebody's wife or something, wasn't he? So I think that's why he had to get the hook.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
I think Dzeko's our biggest miss over the last few years. And, what's really, really important with players as well is, do they have a little bit of passion and love for the club? And when you get rid of a player like Dzeko, who was banging in goals, but actually loved City and loved playing for Manchester City as well, I'm always so hesitant to get rid of those sort of players, because that they'll run themselves into the ground at every game for you.
Yeah, I totally agree. Okay, so let's look to wrap this up.
Okay.
So I want to go round each one of us and just the one player you want at City. Just that one player you want at City, them to either spend the money on or, whatever. So, Dan, do you want to fire me off with yours?
Young English striker, Tammy Abraham. I'd take him in a heartbeat. I think we're a bigger club than Chelsea, and I want all you Chelsea boys to come at me. Why couldn't we not sign him? You know what I mean? If he come under Pep, he'd be amazing. So mine's Tammy Abraham.
It's a shout that I haven't heard of. So I can bang in goals as well, Connie.
So he's 6 foot hard, plays left wing, right wing, striker. He's got a lot, mate. He's a player.
Okay, Dave.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to echo Tammy Abraham. I think he's come on leaps and bounds from Aston Villa. I think he was at Swansea as well, right? And now just banging them in at Chelsea. He is, from my standpoint, our sort of player. And because we've not had any football for 8 weeks now, that's his name. I am a huge fan already of Fikayo Tomori, another guy from Chelsea.
Oh, is it the left back that or centre back?
He is a central defender, but he can play right across the line.
Yeah.
Already been introduced to the England squad. Good experience, Brighton, Hull, Derby as well. And Lampard's making him some player at Chelsea. You know, he's a starter now. And again, kind of like the whole Abraham thing, he's young, English, but he's very good in his position. I'd be looking at trying to do a double deal there. That, you know, look, how much do you think it would be for Abraham and Tomori if we went for a double deal? 70
Boy,
million?
you're looking 160.
Do you think for even already, because they've got some experience but not tons, you still think that we're looking at paying 80 for each?
I reckon
Well,
5 each, maybe.
no, I reckon Tammy Abraham has proved he can score goals in Premier League, score goals in Championship. He's going to be a player, and I guarantee he's going to be a player. So if that were us for City, it's like saying how much is Foden worth? Now to us, we'd be like, yeah, he's 80 million in, wouldn't we? So what are they going to let? They're going to price them the same. Maybe not the defender might have gone too much, but I reckon Abraham, an English club wanting Abraham, they're going to have to pay fruit and nails for him.
Yeah.
If Sancho's worth what they're saying, Sancho's going for 100 million or 90 million or something. If Sancho's worth 90, never played a Premier League game in his life.
Yeah,
he's got
yeah,
up there,
you
hasn't
make
he?
a good point.
Yeah, I agree with that. I had one, and I think we spoke about him, but I just think he's perfect. It's Harry Kane. Like I said, we've just had the 10-minute conversation with him. If we can get his fitness better, I think he can score. He can score goals. I think he's already got 11 this season, only in 20 games. He's been injured for God knows how long now. And then there's one off the park who I watch a lot of Liga football, and there's a guy, striker for Lille called Oshiman.
Okay.
He's been on the scene for a while, a young lad, 21 years old, Nigerian. This season, 13 goals in 25 games with 4 assists. So he's a tallish lad, bit different, but rapid. And I mean rapid. If you boys want to have a look on YouTube, on a bit of social media at him, just have a little look and, you know, maybe get back to me in the group or whatever and just see what you think. It's off the park, but I've watched a lot and he looks exceptional. Another young lad from the French league.
Wow, he looks like Paul Pogba, doesn't he? He looks like I've got blonde hair, but my God, he looks like Paul Pogba. Like the way he stands as well, and his
And we've definitely missed a bit of pace up front. I know we've had Sterling, but Mahrez ain't quickest. Bernardo Silva ain't quickest. We've definitely missed Sané's pace.
Yeah, I think his aerials one is 4.4 as well. So if you consider it to the centre halves, like Ben White being the highest at 2.2, I just think it's yet again it's something a little bit different.
Yeah,
they wouldn't want exceptional amount of money for him. I'd maybe say like 20 million, 25 million maybe. But yeah, definitely one off the cuff for that one, I think.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's a good shout, Steve. Very good.
And
shout.
somebody different. I like that when you've never heard of him.
Yeah.
They were the glory days when Sven signed 7 players nobody had ever heard of.
Yeah, I think there's, like I said, I think there's a lot of the little players that I would take. There's a holding midfielder there called Sumer. I think it's Babu Kari Sumer, young French holding midfielder. Looks really, really good. That's another one I would have. And they also signed that Renato Sanchez, the Bayern superstar kid. Yeah, well, they've got him full time now.
He's fallen a bit, hasn't
he? Yeah.
Swansea went.
Yeah,
Swansea, didn't get a game.
Yeah, so, okay, lads. Well, I think, unless anyone's got anything else to add.
Well, I've got one. How much do you think we're going to go big this transfer window, or do you think COVID's going to have its effect?
I think it'll be all COVID, personally. Me and Steve were just talking about that before we jumped on the call, and so many things have to be sorted out first, Dan, before we can even start thinking about transfers. And, and is the economy going to tank where, we've been talking about it a little bit on our MIB chat, that what a transfer fee is going to look like if no clubs have any money. There's only going to be a handful of clubs who actually have money to spend, right? Because of all this. So does that mean, my thinking is, does that mean that transfer fees are actually going to go up because these clubs that are struggling are going to want more money for their players? And if that's the case, we know Dan is a huge fan of Diaz at Benfica, and I think right now that they're wanting about 55 million for him. Well, if this is a club that is struggling financially, are they going to say that, yeah, you can have him, but now we're actually talking like 80 million, not 55, because aren't clubs going to want to try and get as much money as they can in now because they're struggling? So I'm concerned about where that's going to leave City. Like, are we going to be priced out of players now?
I've been thinking about it, and as Get Football rolling, FIFA, if you're listening, scrap FFP. Everybody can spend what they want this season. You think how many players, how many people be signed, clubs that are struggling, still being able to sign players, and they'll get the ball moving. I think players' prices will come down with the COVID. I'm going opposite way.
Okay, so that's an interesting one to end on.
Go either way. Is it going to go? Do clubs really need the money because they're struggling, so they're going to put a premium on every transfer fee? Or to your point, Dan, is it's just because the economy's tanking anyway? A club's just going to have to accept less for the players.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be an interesting one to see, boys, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so I think we'll end it there. But thank you both for coming on.
No worries.
Our pleasure. If you want to join me at 4:00 in the morning to Chris, then be my guest.
No, I'll be in sack.
I'll leave you to that one, Dave, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, boys. Well, take care.
See you later, lads.